ho, Devy and Dynasty Junkies. This is Brandon, host of the Devy Deep Dive podcast and creator of the Devy Dashboard. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm also going to be putting this on my Devy Deep Dive podcast feed. So for all of my loyal listeners, welcome. I am really excited about this show, man. This is going to be my first mock draft, the rookies heading to the NFL, my first 2022 rookie mock draft. And I'm going to throw a little twist. All right, this is going to be a 4-round draft that I'm going to go and discuss, but we're also going to be discussing landing spots. All right, so what I've done for the first round of this draft, I've kind of did some research on a great website. It's called NFLMockDraftDatabase.com. And through the first round for the top players in the draft, I kind of put landing spots that have been kind of happening through the latest mock drafts, but as round 2, 3, and 4, as you will see, I've kind of put my landing spots. So not only am I going to go through my top, 4 rookie rounds, how I could potentially see them unfolding, but we're also going to be talking about landing spots. I, for one, am a guy who believes that landing spots matter, situations matter. Yes, we're going to draft the quality of the talent first and foremost, but let's not kid ourselves to think that where these guys land, especially the top-tier talents, we're all hoping these guys land in good offensive systems with good quarterbacks, good offensive lines, good coaching, so on and so forth. So let's get right to it. So here is the first round, all right? And let's go through it. We're going to run through these. And I've got coming in here, you're going to see on the sheet, and for all of you guys listening on the podcast, you can't see, but I'm going to be talking about what pick they are, and then the DC on this thing is the draft capital. So I've projected again through that great website, where the draft capital looks like, at least in mock drafts. That's the best thing that we have to go around to get draft capital. So we're going to talk about where the players being picked in your rookie round, where they're going to be, what the draft capital is coming to the NFL, and the team they could potentially be playing for. This is going to be a ball, man. So let's get right to it. All right, so I got the first pick at 101. Again, this is a super flex. We got to go with Kenny Pickett. I've got a landing spot here of the Denver Broncos. He's going to get first-round draft capital. There's, where there's smoke, there's fire. Kenny Pickett, I know we're in Handgate right now. He's participating at the Senior Bowl. This is being recorded on Wednesday before the Senior Bowl, so a lot of stuff is coming out about the Senior Bowl. Everyone's worried about his hand size. He didn't get it measured, so on and so forth. But nonetheless, let's just assume for this mock right now, he is the first player taken in the draft as far as quarterback. I see him landing with the Broncos is a hot spot in a lot of mock drafts. It's a great landing spot for me. He's got a running game. He's got receivers, Courtland Sutton, Judy, all the guys. Got Noah Fant. So if he lands in there, stock up for Kenny Pickett. 1.02. I'm going to go with 2 running backs here back to back right now. I always find that wide receivers are a little, depth, and I think there's 5 or 6 good quality receivers, but not so many running backs. So for me personally, I'm going to take Breece Hall. He should get second round draft capital, day 2 draft capital without a doubt. And I'm going to have him landing in Miami and playing with Tua. That'll solidify that backfield. Coming in at 1.03 is going to be, again, a guy getting second round draft capital, Isaiah Spiller. Have him mocked right now going to the Atlanta Falcons, playing indoors on the turf. Matt Ryan will be there for a couple more years, so I can see them finally maybe starting to establish the running game. They got Pitts there. We don't know what's the situation with Ridley, but I think they've got to really get a running game going, and I think Spiller is a guy that they could potentially take in the second round. Coming in at 104 is Matt Corral. I have him first-round pick, draft capital, going to Washington. A lot of spots looking like he could be going to Washington. Washington got Heineke this year, but he's not a long-term guy. He was sitting on the couch for the last 3 years before this past season. Don't really believe that he's the future there. So Matt Corral, this is a super flex, so I think people might reach for him. All right, so we're gonna go for 2 wide receivers here next. Coming in at 1.05, Jameson Williams getting first-round draft capital. Now, this is going to be the real topic of conversation going into mock drafts. You like Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, so on and so forth. I get it. I put a fun landing spot here of going to the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to assume that Adams signs that franchise tag. He stays. Rodgers works out a deal. He's there for another 3 years. Love stays on the bench. Jameson Williams, an explosive player from Bama who just tore his ACL. We get it. But nonetheless, I like his landing spot, being paired up with Adams. Shouldn't get, a lot of coverage and obviously have one of the best quarterbacks throwing him the ball. So we're going to assume if he goes to Green Bay, maybe his stock jumps up just a little bit. Coming in at 1.06, again, first-round draft capital, Treylon Burks. I got him going to the the Cleveland Browns. Now, this is a spot that nobody likes and certainly understandable. Baker Mayfield's playing okay, but nonetheless, I think, with Odell Beckham now a Ram, I think they've got to start, if they want to see Baker be successful, they need to get some wide receivers to help him. Not the greatest landing spot, but he is probably the wide receiver one for most people just because of his size and speed and skill set. I get it. Coming in at 1.07, Malik Willis, I have him landing in the first round draft capital with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, they may go with Mason Rudolph for 1 year as a bridge. Malik Willis is a raw quarterback, but again, this is a super flex. They've got a good running game with Najee Harris. They got receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster, the rumors are he's leaving, but nonetheless, you got Deontay Johnson, you got Claypool, you got other playmakers there. Pat Freiermuth could be a security blanket. So, he's got to work. Obviously, the offensive line has to work, but they might like the mobility of Malik Willis. I know a lot of people have Carson Strong going there potentially, but I see Carson Strong more of a day 2 pick right now. But nonetheless, the Steelers, are build around their future. Maybe this is a bridge year for them, but nonetheless, this is a super flex draft, so people might reach for a quarterback. I've seen it happen a million times. I've been playing this game a long time. Coming in at 1.08, first-round draft capital is Garrett Wilson. I got him landing in the Jets. If you're going to have Zach Wilson be that guy for your franchise, you need more than Elijah Mitchell. So I think they double down on a wide receiver in the first round and get Garrett Wilson to, give the tools to Wilson. Wilson to Wilson sounds like a really kind of cool little tagline, right, for some production in the NFL. So coming in at 1.09, I'm going to go back to the running back and I'm going to take Kenneth Walker. I got a landing spot here of the Arizona Cardinals, another spot that is going to be, I think, a good running back spot. I think the James Conner experiment worked well this year, but I don't believe that he's the long-term answer for that franchise. I see Kenneth Walker getting second-round draft capital. And, I think we saw from the playoff that Kyle Murray needs a running game. I mean, they can't put the weight of that franchise. I know we didn't have Hopkins playing in the playoffs, but let's not kid ourselves. I mean, you need a good running game. Every quarterback's best friend is a solid running game, and the Cardinals need to establish a decent running game. So I could see them potentially getting arguably the best running back in the class in the second round. All right. At 1.10, I've got Drake London going to my Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Eagles, they got 3 picks in the first round. I don't know if they're going to go with Jalen Hurts. I haven't the foggiest notion. Listening to sports radio here in Philly, half the town likes him, half the town wants him gone. So I don't know what they're going to do. Nonetheless, Devonta Smith needs help. I like Drake London. He's a riser for me. I think he's a big, tall guy who could maybe separate down the field, be that red zone threat. So we need playmakers in Philadelphia, so I thought I'll be happy with Drake London if the Eagles take him. So coming in at 1.11, Sam Howell. The Lions have 2 first-round draft picks. They're going to use their second late-round pick, and they're going to pluck Sam Howell. He's playing well at the Senior Bowl right now, getting some buzz. He's kind of been a faller for a lot of people in the QB room. I don't know if it's because he's been around a while or whatnot, but I think he still sneaks into the first round, and I think the Lions would be thrilled if he fell there. We know Jared, whatever his name is, the Lions, Goff, he's not their long-term answer, obviously making that trade for Stafford, sending him off to the Rams. Finishing out the first round at 1.12 in the 12th pick, first-round draft capital, I got Chris Olave going to the Raiders. They need wide receiver help. And Josh McDaniels is now the new coach, and I think he is going to need to build an offense around Derek Carr. I'm sure they're going to be going with Derek Carr. So I've got Chris Olave coming off the board here in the first round. A lot of guys don't like, Chris Olave. I think he's an underrated receiver. I'm a fan. I think he gets first-round draft capital, is a lock, and I think he's a space creator, and he doesn't make it out of the first round in rookie drafts. All right, let's get to the second round. This is where it gets fun, man. This is where it gets interesting, where you got to start making, there's a few guys on this list that we're going to see here that, were pretty solid up list, but this is where it starts to get a little chalky, right? So I got the pick 201 in the second round draft capital. I've got Carson Strong. I've got the Atlanta Falcons taking Carson Strong in the second round. I think that he's, that's the system that they play right now with Kyle Pitts. I think it'd be great. Carson Strong could sit for a year behind Matt Ryan. I believe Matt Ryan will be there for another year given his contract situation. So I've got the Falcons looking to the future a little bit to give Pitts a guy in the future to continue to build that offense. pair him with Spiller, as we picked before. Now, all of a sudden, you can start seeing the future of Atlanta. 2.02 second-round draft capital, maybe first-round draft capital, but right now, George Pickens, I have him going to the Bears. Thought that'd be a fun landing spot. I know Robinson most likely is out, but you got Justin Fields, a young, again, quarterback who they need to surround them. We got a new regime in town, so they might want to just start building the wide receiver core around Fields. They've got Mooney, who's a nice player, but if Robinson heads to free agency, I believe he's a free agent, they're going to need some playmakers, and George Pickens would be that great complement to Mooney there as far as a pass catcher. Coming in at 2.03, I got Jahan Dotson. I got the Washington Redskins taking a shot with Jahan Dotson. Again, they got Matt Corral. I have them forecasting taking in the first round, which we just talked about. Diami Brown, I think, is going to fizzle out eventually and not be the guy they thought he was. You got Scary Terry there, but again, if you're going to bring in Matt Corral, you've got to look to the future a little bit. They got a good running game with Gibson. They've got that seemed to be squared away. They got a tight end. I forget his name off the top of my head, but a good quality tight end. So, you're going to have to build pass catchers around these young quarterbacks to give them a chance to be successful. Jahan Dotson is a space creator, good receiver. I think he would complement Scary Terry well and just be that guy who can be playing all over the field, getting open. 2.04 with second-round draft capital. I have David Bell going to the New Orleans Saints. We don't know what's happening with what's his name. I forget Michael. I forget his name, but the guy who didn't play this year, and they need to build. I'm not a Traquan Smith guy. Callaway's a nice receiver. Michael Thomas, that's a guy I'm thinking of. Don't know what he's doing. Don't know if he's coming back, if he's leaving or whatever. But man, that wide receiver core really don't have a lot of playmakers, and they probably will bring Winston back. Coach is out, new coach, so a little bit of thing, but they got Kamara there. He can't do it all. They got to get some more help on the offense. So I got David Bell going to a landing spot of the Saints. In 2.05, third round draft capital, I've got Kyron Williams going to the Houston Texans. The Rex Burkhead, David Johnson, and Mark Ingram experiment, I think, was a fill-in and it worked. But again, if they're going to go with Davis, as their quarterback, then, which sounds like they might, given that how well he played, I think that they should be giving him a running game to take the pressure off him to, excel at the quarterback position. All right. So, I think that they could potentially take a running back here. Good landing spot. Think potentially a decent landing spot. Should get fed the rock, but there's a little twist coming up here soon. All right, 2.06 in the fourth round. I have the Jets taking Brian Robinson. I think that Michael Carter did a nice job filling in, but I don't see him being the guy that is going to be a lead back. And again, if the Jets want Zach Wilson to be successful, I'm thinking, why not get a bruising back? Yeah, Brian Robinson isn't the most nimble and fastest running back, but he is that just solid guy where then you can put Michael Carter, I think, in a role that would be suited better for him, in that role of the third down guy, potentially be the one or two, first down back as well, share carries, not be the guy to take the load. He's just not that big a kid who can take that physical grinding, but I like Brian Robinson. I think he'd be a great, back to be just what you need to move the chains, get 4 or 5 yards on that first down to make third down completion percentages much better for Zach Wilson. At the 2.07, fourth round draft capital, I've got Tyler Algier going to the Seahawks. Yes, I know Chris Carson was banged up again. Rashad Penny kind of flashed this year. I believe he's a free agent. I don't know what they're going to be doing. There's, all this stuff surrounding about Wilson, if, he's going to be staying, Russell Wilson at the quarterback position. But Tyler Algier, good, solid second-tier receiver in this class. Nothing flashy. Him and Brian Robinson are kind of the same. Bigger, tough, physical guys, don't have the best lateral movement and explosion and burst, but just really good, solid running backs who would, I think, excel in zone schemes that could just move the chains and be a good complement to, to starting a backfield. So I think they need to start looking, if in fact they get a new quarterback. Again, a running back is the best thing that can happen for any kind of quarterback that they bring in. All right, 2.08. I got a little fun here with this landing spot. I got Trey McBride coming off the board here in the second round. He's going to get day 2 draft capital. Second round is where it's projected on the website that we talked about earlier. I got him going to the Kansas City Chiefs. So if he lands in the Kansas City Chiefs, you can guarantee that his stock is going to go through the roof. Now, I know they got Kelsey, but I'm looking towards the future here. Kelsey is not getting any younger, and they value their tight end. And I have a feeling that if they maybe say, all right, let's bring in Trey McBride, he can learn from one of the best tight ends that we've seen in recent history. and have success future. He's tied to Mahomes. I can guarantee you Trey McBride stock would go through the roof, and people would be starting to take Trey McBride if, in fact, that landing spot happened over the second or third tier kind of wide receivers or running backs. All right, coming in at 2.09 in the second round draft capital, I got John Mechie going to the Chargers, which is a nice landing spot. Probably a landing spot everyone's really excited about, given the fact that Mike Williams is a free agent and nobody knows what they're going to be doing. But nonetheless, you want a wide receiver tied to Herbert. I mean, he's played great. He's one of the up and coming stars of the NFL from the quarterback position. So anyone who lands in the Chargers, you can guarantee you their stock is going to go up, whether they're one of the top tier wide receivers or not. So 2.10 in the fourth round draft capital, I got James Cook, a guy who's in the top 5 or 6 for most NFL draft nicks right now. Georgia running back. He's going to go to Tampa Bay. I have him landing there. I think Fournette sticks around. As we know, Brady retired, so they don't know what they're doing with their quarterback position. But nonetheless, I could see Fournette possibly staying on a cheap deal. I believe he's a free agent. Not 100% sure, but let's just assume that they do. I think James Cook could be that guy that can come in and be that complementary role, and they can go back to being a running game versus a passing team, which they kind of primarily were with Brady. All right, this is another fun landing spot right here. Coming in at 2.11, 11th pick in the second round, second day draft capital 2, day 2 and second round I have is Jalen Wademeyer going to the Bengals. Now, you might have seen in the Bengals game that Asmana, I think the tight end who tore his Achilles now, I think now he hurt his knee. He may just have had enough of all the injuries, but nonetheless, I have a juicy landing spot here, a Wademeyer going to the Bengals. I know they have the kid Sample, but he's not a down-the-field pass catcher. But again, tying yourself to a player, to Joe Burrow, I can guarantee you his stock's going to go through the roof. So I thought that was a fun landing spot for us to at least talk about. All right, finishing out the second round at the 2.12, I got Wan'Dale Robinson being selected by the Colts. Now, everyone's waiting on Wan'Dale Robinson. Is he 5'10 or 5'11, or is he really 5'8? So this is one that may change, but nonetheless, Hilton was one of my favorite wide receivers, and man, during Hilton's prime, he was a productive player. And I can see them. They got Michael Pittman, the bigger guy on the outside, playing the X and Z. Why not get Wan'Dale Robinson to play in the Y, play in the slot? He can play outside as well. I think if they're going to go with Carson Wentz and keep Carson Wentz, he's probably going to need another speedy guy who can get open. So that rounds out my round 2. All right, let's get to round 3. This is where it starts to get fun. This is where you're going to see the guys that, round 3 is where you just start taking your dudes. You start taking the guys that you've scouted, and, landing spot's going to play a role, of course. And so let's continue this. So at the 3.01, I got draft capital. The fourth round, I got Hassan Haskins, a guy who's been rising up my running back board personally, going to the Buffalo Bills. Again, I think Singletary has done an admirable job. Zach Moss is dead. I mean, he was, I think, not even active for the second half of the season, so he's out of the picture. And again, just for that team to take the pressure off Allen, I think having a stud running, just a bigger guy, again, who can get you the 3 or 4 yards at the beginning of each first and second down. I like Hassan Haskins. I think he's a little bit underrated right now. I think that'd be a great landing spot with the Bills. 3.02 in the third round draft capital, I've got Khalil Shakir going to the Patriots. He just feels like a Belichick kind of player. He's playing very well right now. I believe in the Senior Bowl, he's getting some buzz. So, Mac Jones needs help. I mean, he needs some pass catchers. I don't see maybe them. They got burned with that kid from a couple years ago that in the first round, his name's escaping me, but nonetheless, so they might not pick somebody in the first or second round, but in the third, fourth, fifth round, I can see New England starting to take some of this receivers. It's a pretty decent deep class, maybe waiting third, fourth round to start getting Mac Jones some help. So I see Shakir going there. 3.03 in the third round, I have Romeo Doubs going to the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought would be a fun landing spot. Tyreek Hill is there. They really desperately need a number 2 guy who can maybe be a little bit more vertical, a little bigger, a little taller, who can play the Z. I think Dobbs really played the Z pretty much in Nevada. Just somebody else. I think they've got to get Mahomes some more help. Kelsey's not getting any younger. Tyreek Hill is great, but you double, triple team Tyreek Hill, you got yourself an advantage because the running game is just so in Kansas City. So I got 3.04. I'm going to go with Desmond Ridder getting picked and crushing all of the Minnesota Vikings fans by taking another quarterback here. I believe that Kirk Cousins is under one more year, and he's got a pretty big dead cap hit, so I think they're going to be going with him again. But Ritter, reports right now out of the Senior Bowl are like he's kind of erratic, so maybe he needs a year. They take a shot in the second round to see if they can't develop Ritter into being something for the future. Coming in at 3.05 in the fourth round draft capital, I've got Rachaad White going to the Tennessee Titans. So I think this landing spot's pretty good. Derrick Henry's not getting any younger, but Rachaad White, I think, is more of a pass catching back more than a 3-down banger in between. So again, someone who is shining right now at the Senior Bowl. So, I think the Titans would be a great landing spot. Darrington Evans, they tried that a couple years ago. I forget who's been second fiddle there now, but I don't think it's anyone long term. So I think Rachaad White, again, giving that offense just another pass-catching option out of the backfield will continue to, benefit the Tennessee Titans. I got Jerome Ford, 3 at the 6th pick in the third round, getting 4th-round draft capital. I got Jerome Ford going to the Saints. Kamara is not going to last if they continue to just feed him the ball all the time. So I think the Saints are in transition. I think Jerome Ford would be a nice addition to that backfield. Yeah, the landing spot's going to be kind of shitty for all the guys that are excited for Jerome Ford getting the bell cow role, but I just don't see Jerome Ford as a guy who's going to lead a backfield in the NFL. I think he's going to be a great 1-2 punch for a backfield, and I think learning from Kamara, he's got some pass catching chops. I think it'd be a good opportunity for Ford. Maybe down the road 2 or 3 years if Kamara moves on, or if they completely rebuild and move on from Kamara, he might have a future role. The 3.07 coming in, Sky Moore is getting a lot of buzz. I have him also going to the Saints. I have the Saints kind of spending a lot of draft capital this year on offense. Like I said, Callaway, I like his receiver. Traquan Smith is just wildly inconsistent. And again, if they're going to bring back Winston and try and put any kind of a semblance on the field, Sky Moore is 5'10", 195 kind of guy. Not playing in the Senior Bowl because he's an underclassman. He's a junior, but nonetheless, this kid's getting a lot of buzz. I've not watched a ton of tape on him. He's kind of like a late kind of discussion piece for the NFL draft, but nonetheless, I got him landing in the Saints. All right, I got Jalen Tolbert going to the Tennessee Titans, draft capital in the 3rd round. Again, I think that you got A.J. Brown, the guy from the Falcons, the great guy. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just tweak out with names, but nonetheless, he's getting older. He didn't look great this year. So I think Jalen Tolbert, they need, to build around A.J. Brown in the future. I think they need to, continue putting pass weapons in that field to really help with that team moving forward, as they got knocked out of the playoffs much earlier than expected. All right, 3.09 in the 3rd round draft capital, Alex Pierce, a Cincinnati wide receiver, bigger kid. I have him going to the Lions. Julio Jones, that was it. Julio Jones from Tennessee. It always ends up coming back to me. Alex Pierce, right, going to the Lions, I think is a good landing spot. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a great season. People are questioning him. Is that continuing? I think he's a solid piece moving forward for the Lions. But nonetheless, Alec Pierce brings you that more vertical, boundary-type receiver, bigger. He's got some speed to him. The Lions, again, need, if in fact, in the 1st round we have them taking Sam Howell, you need to develop these pass catchers around these quarterbacks to give these quarterbacks a chance, and they desperately need wide receivers in the Lions. So I got Zamir White here at the 3.10 in the 4th round draft capital, going to, I kind of threw him in here going to Houston. I think Houston just completely maybe rebuilds. And again, I just thought it'd be an interesting landing spot for us to kind of talk about. We talked about Kyron Williams going there just for discussion purposes. What would that do to the value of both of those players? But Zamir White, guy that might be a little higher on this list, but let's say they don't draft Kyron Williams and Zamir White does go to the Texans. Can see his draft stock, in rookie drafts being pretty solid if, in fact, he lands on a team that maybe doesn't have an established running back. In the 5th round, at the 3.11, in the 5th round draft capital, I have Tyler Beatty, and I have him going to the Raiders. I think, again, Josh McDaniels loves his pass-catching backs, and I think he would be a great compliment, to Derek Carr and that team catching those balls out of the backfield. He's going to want his Danny Woodhead. He's going to want his, his White, the guy that ran out of the backfield for New England for all those years. Not a flashy player, not a guy that's going to lead the backfield, but he could be a PPR option flex kind of player for our up-and-coming dynasty rosters. Rounding out the third round at the 3.12 mark, fifth round draft capital, I've got Dameon Pierce going to the Chargers. If you look at the past drafts of the Chargers, they're going to be going with Eckler. I get it. I like it. But it was Larry Roundtree, right, last year. They're trying to find that complementary. They have Justin Jackson, who's been okay. But I think that, Eckler's a little bit on the smaller side. He's been getting a lot of usage. They're probably, again, with Herbert being able to throw the ball around and having a good running game is good. So I could see a guy like Dameon Pierce, again, them trying to find that complementary back who can really move the chains and provide that solid kind of rest for Eckler when, in fact, he comes off the field. All right, let's talk about the fourth and final round of this first of many 2022 Dynasty Rookie mock drafts. This is where it really gets fun. I've got Justin Ross getting some buzz right now. A lot of people are worried about his neck injury. I get it. I have him also going to the Atlanta Falcons as another just depth piece. Again, building for the future, trying to take pressure off Pitts. They need to continue to establish, again, like I said, they're going to be bringing in a new quarterback in this draft. They need to get playmakers, a bigger, taller guy like him. So we'll have to see what his medicals look like. But in this fourth round, man, this is where you take your guys, right? This is where I see like a real falling off of talent. The fourth and fifth rounds of most rookie drafts are really guys that, you scout, you fall in love with during this whole process. So this is kind of, I've got some of my guys sprinkled in here, and we'll talk about that. I got Abram Smith from Baylor coming in at 4.02, a guy who's been rising up boards going to the New York Giants. Again, Barkley has been getting banged up a lot. Don't know if they've got their second tier back on that roster right now. A whole new regime is coming in here. They might just want to bring in their own kind of running back. I think that'd be an okay landing spot. Abram Smith is not going to be a guy that's going to be coming in and getting any kind of work anyway. All these guys at this fourth round are all kind of long shots really to make it to our dynasty rosters. That's where you come in, like I said, and pick the guys that you like. Coming in at the 4.03 fifth round draft capital, I got Jerrion Ealy going to the Seahawks as well. I know they have DJ Dallas. I've never been a fan, but I thought, man, putting Algier and Ealy as a 1-2 punch just to bring some excitement. I look at the Seattle backfield and I'm like, it's just been meh for like ever. I know Penny just exploded this year, but he's a free agent. I don't know what they're going to do with him. They might just think that it was a mirage this year, but I thought it'd be a really good, if in fact they keep Wilson at the quarterback position, a great guy that he could target out of the backfield, just that explosive piece that could just bring an element to an offense of some excitement and some acceleration, some pass catching ability. I got Zonovan Knight going to the Dallas Cowboys at the 4.04 pick, 6th round draft capital. I project for him. Thought the Cowboys would be nice. Again, just as another depth receiver. You got Pollard there. I believe he's a free agent coming up, not this year, but maybe the year after. They'll probably keep him, but Zeke looks like he could be on the downside, and maybe Zonovan Knight is a guy that they like that maybe could future. I know Zeke's under contract with big numbers for the next 2 years, but again, you can never, this is, we're talking 6th, 7th round players here now, right? We're talking about, this is where a lot of these wide receivers, the running backs, they're all just depth pieces. That these teams take, right? So you're going to have to make your decision whether or not you want to put them on your roster. Coming in at number 4.05 with the 5th pick, I've got Christian Watson, a guy who's been getting a lot of buzz at the Senior Bowl coming from North Dakota State University. Got him going to the Panthers. Again, I think Robbie Anderson, I don't know what his contract status is there, but again, they've got a quarterback situation, and they're going to need more pass catchers. I thought that'd be a good landing spot. Don't know if Brandon Marshall's going to pan out there or not, but again, this is like a depth piece. Again, this guy's like built like Tyrell Williams, tall, speedy guy. I thought this was a juicy one to talk about. Jeremy Ruckert is a tight end from Ohio State that really didn't get a lot of production at Ohio State, but I got him projected in the 4th round being drafted. I'm going to take him here in the 6th pick in the 4th round of this rookie mock going to the Green Bay Packers. And I think if he would land at somewhere like the Packers, I think people would be taking notice. He could end up being a 3rd or 4th round rookie pick. Green Bay used to have great tight ends, and for the last few years, they've been trying, and it just hasn't been panning out. But you'd be excited if Jeremy Ruckert, I think he brings a size and decent pass catching ability to that offense. So coming at the 4.08, a guy that is playing at the Shrine Bowl this week, Keontae Ingram. I have him being, drafted in the 6th and 7th round, going to the Denver Broncos. I thought, Gordon is not going to be there forever. I think he's a free agent this year. Do they bring him back? I mean, that's going to be Javonte Williams' team, obviously, moving forward. So bringing in Keontae Ingram to help run in between the tackles, help with the pass catching and that kind of thing. I think it's a kind of an interesting landing spot. Coming in at 4.09 in the 3rd round is Bailey Zappi going to the Raiders. I think maybe Josh McDaniels going there. Maybe he takes a shot with this kid. He was super productive, as we know. And he won college fantasy football leagues this past year, threw for records and tons of yards and stuff like that. So again, day 2 guy, maybe 3rd round, maybe sneaks in the late 2nd, a team falling in love with just his passing ability. Maybe Josh McDaniels thinks it could be a project like Stidham a few years back. All right, Charleston Rambo, another guy that's playing in the Shrine Bowl that's been popping lately. Got him going at the 4.10 in the 4th round, 5th round draft capital, most likely going to the Browns. Again, the Browns need to continue to build for Baker Mayfield to have him have success moving forward. If in fact they continue to go with Baker Mayfield, they need to get him some pass catchers. Isaiah Likely, a guy a lot of people are buzzing about right now at the Senior Bowl, got him going in the 5th round at the 4.11 in this mock draft, going to the Jets. I think that'd be a good landing spot. You've got Elijah Moore there. We talked about Wilson, in the 1st round going there. Now you can get Zach Wilson, a pass-catching tight end. The guy's not going to be a great blocker. He's a little undersized for that. But then nonetheless, they need to build weapons around Zach Wilson. And I think that landing spot would be attractive to a lot of people in the Devy community and, in the rookie community as well. Because Isaiah Likely at Coastal Carolina was a good player who was very productive. And a lot of people look at that production and thinks it can translate. A lot more, unfortunately, has to go into getting open in the field in the NFL. So 4.12, one of my favorite players. I'll live and die with one of my guys here, Kyle Phillips. I have him going to my hometown Birds. He's going to be a 5th or 6th round draft pick. He's killing it right now in the Shrine Bowl. Everyone's talking about Sky Moore and how great he looks. I think Kyle Phillips is just as good, if not better. That's just my own personal opinion. But he's a guy that I'm going to draft in all my rookie rounds, late 5th, 6th, 4th, 5th round. I'd love to see him go to the Eagles. I could see him actually going to the Patriots, but we're going to talk about another player that I think the Patriots pluck. But yeah, I think the Eagles would be a great spot. A slot guy. This kid just gets open, nothing flashy, no elite speed. It's just a technical route runner. It's just a football player. I love him. And to round out this final 4th round, at 4.13, 5th round draft capital, I've got Slade Bolden from Bama going to the Patriots. Again, Bill Belichick loves to pluck these, receivers late in the draft and make them out of nothing. And Slade Bolden was just a great slot receiver that really no one talks about. And I think could, just be that late round gem and just get Bill Belichick gets a hold of him with Mac Jones, getting rid of the ball quick. I can see a guy like Slade Bolden maybe being that Edelman clone a little bit in New England. So, all right, man, there you have it. There is my first Dynasty Rookie mock draft. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing a few of these, so please subscribe to the channel. And for my listeners on my podcast, thank you so much for your support. Please leave me a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching it on my YouTube channel here, please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be doing these, all up until the draft. And I'm also going to be doing this for the entire Devy season as well as we get closer and after the draft. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show.